Hey ho, let's go and talk about the Creation Club, everyone's favorite topic since cats, dogs, and some evil dictators. So, it's gonna carry over for a while, I'm thinking here. Probably into the Elder Scrolls 6, and I think that's a pretty easy assumption to make, unless Elder Scrolls 6 comes out like 10 years from now, which it might, because Bethesda isn't really telling us anything about it. But, nonetheless, I want to talk about the potential impact that the Creation Club could have on the development of Elder Scrolls 6, because if you don't know, and if you're a new subscriber, in the last few months or so, I've had a lot of new people coming into the channel and stuff. I do cover Elder Scrolls quite a bit and Bethesda-oriented content. Haven't for the last little while, life got kind of crazy, but this is something that I really do want to talk about. And I think it's a pretty prudent topic considering the Creation Club has been so controversial since its launch, and my opinion of it has drastically altered since it was officially released. So a quick rundown, back at E3 2017, the Creation Club was announced and they were talking about the idea of mini DLCs they'd be hiring modders on to create high quality mods that were guaranteed to work with all the base stuff in Bethesda titles. Now, I'm gonna state this again, I think in a perfect scenario, that could have been okay. If they were releasing really high quality mods or mini DLCs, whatever you want to call it, things like really expansive quest mods, maybe new regions, or entire arsenals of weapons to Fallout 4 or Skyrim or whatever, it could have definitely had some merit. But upon release, it became very evident that these mini DLCs, or whatever you want to call them, were taking the form of very small microtransactions for things like Pip-Boy skins, weapons, and some mods that you could get on Nexus for free already. That was the thing. They're not made by the same person, but you can still get the same mods, and one could argue that the free versions are higher quality, so that's not very good. So that, among a whole heck of a lot else, sparked a lot of anger, controversy, and a big amount of backlash from Bethesda fans. So let's talk about the Creation Club entering into the next game that Bethesda announces, whether it be Starfield or... I'm gonna stick to the idea of this video being about the Elder Scrolls 6, but most of this does apply to another game if it was like Fallout 5 or Starfield or whatever. So first of all, I think it's safe to assume that the Creation Club is going to be around for a very long time. We're talking at least 4 to 5 years, and that could potentially cross over into their next big release, which I'm just, for the hell of it, gonna say is the Elder Scrolls 6. Now, what does that mean for the development? I don't think it's going to have a big impact on the development of the base game itself, to be honest. There's a lot of people that are saying Bethesda now doesn't have to make an entire game themselves. They can rely on other people to fix it and finish it, which to an extent has kind of always been the case because they don't really do the best quality control in their titles or their products, so that has been something that's been thrown around for years at this point. But in regards to how complete the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be, I think it's safe to assume it's going to be around the same level as Skyrim or Oblivion or Fallout 4, but it's going to be a lot more open to modding and DLC. And I don't necessarily mean free modding. I think that they're going to throw their hat into the paid mod scene very early. They're going to probably give some well-known modders or ones they have good relationships with access to development kits early, and we would probably see the first mods coming out within a month or so after the release. So players would have access to those, but they would have to wait for probably a couple months at least until the creation kit is released for Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever other game. Now, a lot of people have been very concerned that they're going to take a step away from modding being free. I don't think that's going to be the case at all, really, because the biggest selling point to Bethesda games like Skyrim, like Oblivion, Morrowind, Fallout 3, 4, New Vegas, is that the modding scene is so expansive that you get more than your money's worth when you buy the game. There's always new content coming out for it, and Bethesda doesn't really have to lift a finger. Now, it's very true that they want to be able to profit off that, which is why we see the Creation Club and paid mods a thing at all, but at the same time, they're making way more game sales because the modding community is so big and so vibrant that I don't think they want to hamper that. They want to put their hand in the cookie jar, of course, but they're not going to smash it on the ground and tell people to eat the crumbs off the floor. because Bethesda really does understand that their players do put a lot of stake in modding, and that is a really big driving force for their titles, and that's evident just by even looking up screenshots of Skyrim. 90% of them have ENB or character mods on them, so, you know, they're very aware. So I think there's going to be a really big push towards these mini micro DLCs that they're doing, and if you can call them paid mods if you want to, I'm not having that debate with you. Call them whatever you want, but I don't think it's going to have that big of an impact on the free versions of this stuff unless they are potentially making the same mod or something, if they were to shut that down because there's the same version of power armor or a very similar sword or something like that. Now, if they were to do that, that's not very good, and that is a major concern. So we saw with Fallout 4 already, there was that Hellfire armor that was released that was already available for free on the Nexus. Now, that free version is of similar, if not better quality, but the thing is, they're not really ripping off the free version because the free version, the creator of that one, doesn't own the copyright to that mod because that was a version of power armor that was already available in a previous Fallout game, so that was Bethesda's copyright. Now, that doesn't mean that he has to take it off the Nexus mods page at all. They could potentially force him to do that, though, if they wanted to, and that is a concern. So if they're making similar mods to some of the big ones or the most popular ones that are available for free on Nexus, it would potentially give them grounds in a case like that to remove the mod, and that's something that we do need to be very concerned about. So if the Creation Club is going to cause any big problems, I think it's going to be that. The moment that Bethesda decides to take down a mod that's too similar to theirs because they want to make more money off their version of it, that's going to be a big uproar from fans and community, and that's really going to be telling if or when that happens as to what Bethesda's real position towards modding is. The other thing I'm very interested to see is whether or not they do the same DLC models that they were doing in-house beforehand. So, are they going to release a big expansion? One would assume that's still probably the case, but for the smaller DLCs like Hearthfire, for example, will there be equivalents of that size of DLC made in-house by Bethesda? Or is the majority of that going to be outsourced to modders, or will they put all their stock in, thinking they can make more or similar amounts of money just by selling those mini paid DLC mods? It is really up for debate now, because some of the paid mods on the Creation Club were already developed in-house by Bethesda employees, so it'll be very interesting to see where their allegiances lie. Are they going to throw all that stuff into the Creation Club? Is it going to be smaller content? And are we going to see anything close to the same DLC models that we're used to from them? Or will everything become horse armor? I think no matter what, it's going to be a very interesting scenario when their next big release hits, whatever it is, and there's so many avenues you can take with this one. I've just been spitballing whatever my random thoughts were that were in my head about it, so if you have any thoughts of your own on this topic, let me know what they are in the comments. I really want to read about these ones because I know there's a bunch of people who are angry. There are a lot of people who are concerned. There are some who are still defending the Creation Club as well. So whatever side you fall on, just let me know your thoughts. I'd really love to hear them. Wait, do you think they're going to do loot boxes? Dear God, don't do loot boxes!